Okay, not even gonna lie, I've done like 10 takes. I'm so nervous. I've never. It was hard enough putting out there what I believe about a video game to be different and crazy than what other people think. But now I'm gonna tell you what I think about the world. So if you're an old fan, great, that's amazing because you're gonna see some cool stuff, and hopefully you don't unsubscribe. And if you're a new fan because you like the political aspect here, well, cool, because I'm gonna take this to a whole new level. We're gonna evolve. Cut. Anyways, let's get right into this. So because the election's right around the corner, it's 10/26/2024. I just want to make this and tell everybody kind of what I think about this election, what I think about all elections, and kind of how I feel, basically, or what I'm thinking. And I do things very logically, and full disclaimer, I guess I should say that I'm very biased towards Trump. Not necessarily the Republican Party, but I am biased towards Trump. So let's just get into it. Let's go with Kamala first. So Kamala, actually, let's go with Trump first, because I am biased towards Trump, right? So I'll say my stance first. But anyway, so Trump, the Roe v. Wade situation, the reason why I'm kind of more for Trump than I am for him is because, one, he didn't just make a decision based on what he believed the people of the time wanted. He also looked at the history and looked at our forefathers, and I don't want to call them forefathers because they're not forefathers, but they are before us forefathers, so it's hard to say that. But 50 years of historical reference is what he used to make his decision, and it's a respect and a homage to the greats of our nation, for one, but two, to understand the severity of the issue, so much so that he knew by making any decision, even in the debate, the original debate, he knew that by making a decision or giving a blanket answer to that statement of picking a side would piss off another side of the people. That's a good leader. He knew that he could not choose without automatically pissing off somebody. Okay, so right there, he already wins in my book, because anybody who's intelligent saw that, caught that, and realized that he's just, what a G. He's looking at the past, he's looking at history, he's trying to avoid things cataclysmic coming forward. He's not just pandering, but I'm not going to get into that yet. Anyways, Independent Energy was working, bringing factory chips back home. Not just that, but he was also working on factories and things of that notion. And in addition to that, by putting those tariffs, I know a lot of people were giving him shame for the tariffs because, to make some goods cost more here, but the goal was to try to get us to do more work home and get people paid more money in their homes. And then the tax breaks and stuff are to help with all the regulations and things that are put on these companies, because you don't understand, these companies are doing so much for our country. 60% or more is most labor costs, so they're actually putting most of that money into somebody's mouth, into somebody's pockets, into somebody's home. So a lot of people who don't understand the economy for what it really is worth, or like how businesses and big corporate function and why the world functions off big corporate, or they come from a place where it doesn't have as much of an effect, so they don't appreciate it as much. You guys villainize these companies, and you villainize anybody. That was an ad, wasn't it? You villainize anybody. It's perfect. You villainize anybody who represents these companies and these corporations, which is a problem because they're actually doing so much. And then you all villainize also anybody who wants to give tax cuts to them, but we'll get to that in a second. But anyways, Independent Energy, he was onto it before she was onto it, and I will say that Obama was onto it before he was onto it, because that's why I liked Obama, but the Keystone Pipeline got turned down. So there's sometimes where our government's the problem too, and that's why he's right about term limitations and trying to put certain regulations in for our government, certain aspects of our government. But I'm not going to get to that actually at all. I didn't put that in here. But then foreign relations, so this one is kind of like an easy one too. Foreign relations in all forms, from business, like the fact that he got other countries to pay more money towards what they weren't paying towards, the fact that he got Mexico to kind of half foot the bill. I don't know if they actually did pay. I actually don't know how that works, but the fact that we were supposed to get help, I don't know how that works. I know we got half of a wall, or a quarter of a wall, or 2/3 of a wall, or some shit like that, or 1/3 of a wall, whatever the fuck it is. Point is, though, I would have loved to see if he'd finish it in 4 years, even if not, like, it's a wall. Like, why is anyone against this? Like, I actually love the concept. China has a wall. Like, I want a wall. Like, why is anyone against it? It's not. We spend money on other countries tenfold this. So, just saying. But it is the one deficit concept in his economic planning. I will say that, because there's no real value out of it other than protecting our people. But yeah, foreign relations. So he goes overseas. He talks to people. He doesn't just cave in these business transactions. He got us a lot more money. The automotive industry, the businesses, the the solar farms, the energy farms, the wind farms, the tech fields with the chip factories. I don't know if he actually got chip factories open. I'd probably have to look that up. And I could do a more detailed video on all this if everybody wants, but for now, it's just kind of my opinion. Like, this is where I'm at with it, right? But foreign relations, he also made a lot of good contract deals with all the countries around the world. Like, that's, like, how could you hate him? And then, like, he went to see our enemies. He didn't just go to see people that we were trying to get along with. He went to see people like North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, or Putin. You know what I'm saying? He went and saw these people. He met these people. It's a lot harder. And I say this all the time. It's not the tough guy concept. I say to people on the internet, right? Like, you wouldn't say this shit to me in real life. And a lot of times they think it's because I'm saying you're a pussy or you're not a tough guy. It's not that. It's genuinely the fact that you can't say shit or treat someone or dehumanize someone the same way you do on the internet sometimes in real life. It's a lot harder. And if you can, then, well, everybody knows what that makes you in today's world. But yeah, he's willing to meet with our overseas enemies. It's just full diplomacy. Like, I don't know how to, like, get around it. Like, everything he did, he took a look at. He identified where we were going wrong, from the border to our overseas relations to the amount of money that we were allowing other countries to make off of our labor and our backs. Yeah, you guys don't get it because you hate Big Corporate, but unfortunately Big Corporate makes us who we are, and if Big Corporate wants to move to other countries because we all of a sudden start punishing them with heavy taxes, it's going to punish us. You're not understanding. The rich need to stay rich because they're the visionaries. They won. What do you want from me? Like, that's the truth. They're the people who understand how to take what you have and take what you've made and take what you can do on a smaller scale and turn it into something great. And I'm not saying that Elon's the only person that could have brought us to space the way he's doing it, and that because I didn't even mention Elon, but I'm just saying in this fashion, there's only certain people like this that can do these types of things, and Trump is one of them, and Kamala is not. She's not. He's a leader. He knows how to speak to people. He knows how to make business deals, and he's failed. Bankruptcy doesn't make me want to vote for him less. Bankruptcy makes me want to vote for him more. It means he's been through the muck. He's been through the bottom. It's another ad. Maybe I should just get ad free. But increased tax cuts for the upper class. I kind of covered that already. So increased tax cuts for the upper class is really good because, and you're going to think it's crazy, but not upper class. I should rephrase that. It's not really for the upper class. It's for businesses, and wealthy businesses getting good tax cuts are good because, again, they have so many regulations. So if you're a good company and you are ethically good and you follow all of the right standards and OSHA and just everything, and you uphold the fucking what they want you to uphold for regulations by the government, then you should be able to get tax cuts that help you. That basically help you either do better or pay people more. And that's the whole thing. These tax cuts, you think it would just put more money in the billionaires' pockets, but it would allow also the government to force these people to pay you more money. So there's just, you gotta be a little open-minded sometimes. What he's doing is he's investing our money into our nation and not into other nations, and that'll be part of my final point later. But he's investing our money into our nation and not into other nations, and it's hard to see, and I get that, but these are good things. Yeah, so I wanted us to have a safe border first. He's actually the first president, I think, in a long time, or ever, that I know of legitimately, that has advocated a wall. So, yeah, I'm on board. Totally on board. I don't know why anybody's against it. I don't. All the military personnel that we have parked and stationed around the world, the fact that we don't have a more secured border is a problem. I'm not going to say you're un-American. I'm just going to say you're logistically stupid. If we get into a war, having a wall would be really nice. And I know you're like, they're just missile us. Not all countries have missiles. You need to shut up. Like, some of these countries, like they're saying, are invading through terroristic aspects or spies or sleeper agents. Your mind is too small. And I'm not watching too many movies. The fact is that there is realities like this. They even said, I remember what they said at one of the meetings, was that what they would do is they would drop off large portions of asylum, and they are asylum. They really do want to come here, right? Mexican people, or all people, right? Because I, to my understanding, it's not just Mexican people coming into the country. It's a lot of people coming in with Mexican people from the country, which sucks because it gives Mexico a bad name. But essentially, cartels dropping them off there and then using that as a distraction when the large amounts of Border Patrol have to come and then take those people and move them as a distraction to then bring drugs across the border at that time. So we're being taken advantage of, and what the fuck? When did we become the victim? Can we stop being the victim? This is the victim. I'm sorry, this is the victim. This is not the victim. Like, just But anyways, we'll let's just move on. He's a disruptor. He's currently broken systems with term limitations, talking about tax changes. I will say that she has the better tax concepts in some ways. I'm not even gonna spin it. His will make our country better, and it will make it stronger and bring better businesses here and more business here. But hers is aimed at the lower middle class really heavily, and I'm gonna explain why that's a good and a bad thing though. Because the $25,000 house thing. But yeah, so he's trying to break systems, and these guys are usually pretty good. You know, JFK was a disruptor. Abraham Lincoln was a disruptor. Martin Luther King was a disruptor. These people come along, very few, very far in between, and they represent breaking broken systems. And in my opinion, they're the most crucial and most important people sometimes. And they usually do die for their causes. Bob Marley. People don't like someone who's fundamentally themselves, because that raw of honesty makes them have to look inward, and usually people don't like themselves. And that's kind of a lot of what we're seeing here. That's why she's had 4 different accents. And I'm not saying that to be rude, that's my bias, but it's just true. But yeah, anyways, also the first president to come out of office with less reputation, less money, and less safety. He has not only been violated legally, but he has now been violated physically. Twice. So now we'll go to Kamala. I don't know if the music is fitting, but I hope it is. So Kamala's Roe v. Wade stance, and this is why I don't like her, is she's taking a stance for either side, and that's wrong. Fundamental leadership, she just doesn't get it, and that's what I was saying about Trump earlier, is that he fundamentally gets and fundamentally understands leadership, and knows that if he picks a side, he's going to piss off another side. Sorry, I'm skipping something. But he knows that if he picks a side, he's going to piss off the other side. So passing it to the states is the best option, because it's the best way to give the people the most choice. Because the people who are also complaining about the fact that the Electoral College is wrong, well, this is a better reason to give it to states, because the Electoral College would have less of an effect on a concept like this. Even though the Electoral College is only to get people into office, my point is that is less of a decision made by the people than this would be by giving it back to the states. So he said it in a good way. He did it where he avoids being an enemy to anybody, and he did it in a way where it gives all of the people a little bit more freedom. And that way, hopefully, there's at least a state near you if you have to drive to get your stuff done. And without any federal laws to hurt or harm it, it should work out. But yeah, the fact that she's taking a stance is all I need to know that her leadership is shit. Because it should just go back to the states. And if she says it should go back to the states, well, he said it first. And then that's fine, because I actually like her more for that, because that would be her agreeing with the good point that somebody else made, which is what true leadership is, and not this bullshit that we're seeing for the last fucking 40 years. Or 50 years. I call it the Nixon concept, because I really do believe it started during Nixon's time with JFK on the stand. JFK was so raw himself that Nixon's only option was to try to defame, deshame, and hurt him. It's that misleading conversation. It's that bullshit. It's the bullshit that we see. My opponent is garbage. Can we stop? Can we stop? We don't need that. It's not getting anything done. But anyways, so she took a stance. Wrong. Now she's trying to implement independent energy, but not during the previous 3 or 4 years. And yeah. So everything that Obama wanted to do, that her predecessors wanted to do, so back to the leadership thing, she couldn't even look at 8 years ago's leadership to see what they were doing correctly, right? With healthcare and everything. So they didn't do shit in 3 or 4 years. People are gonna say it was Biden too, but no, she was also vice president. You have power. You can talk to him. You can talk to the people around him. If he was unfit, don't you think you guys should have said he was unfit sooner? Because doesn't that make you seem more unfit for not identifying that your president was unfit sooner? Damn, like there's no win here for you. Like there's no W in that concept. But anyhow. There's just not. But again, he looked to 50 years worth of leadership. This man is a G. This dude's got stacks of papers on his desk that he's going through reading all day. Like, no, get the fuck out of here. He runs multi-million-dollar, maybe even billion, I don't know, $1 million businesses though. Like, no. His micromanagement skills are insane. Like, you're not, this isn't a competition, and I don't know how anybody thinks it is. It was like 30%, 39% versus like 60 or something. It should be 10% versus 90, so we can show that the American people aren't as dumb as the world fucking thinks. I mean it. But anyways, so now let's get to the next thing. Foreign relations. She didn't do anything in 3 or 4 years either, but foreign relations won't even meet with the world's most dangerous people for real diplomacy, and that's a huge thing, because that's a huge identifier. The fact that he's willing to sit with these big heads I'm just gonna call it what it is, of the world, and talk to them and calm them down and change things and do the Saudi agreement and all these other things that changed fundamentally how the world was interacting with each other, showed that he had presence in diplomacy and presence in political, geopolitical, whatever the fuck you call it. I just gotta say this, she hasn't showed that. As a matter of fact, we've seen the entire world fall into chaos underneath her. And I do think a big part of it is because she wasn't willing to go meet with these people, because again, you can't hurt people that you've met. And that's really my philosophy. If she went and had drinks with Putin, I genuinely don't think Putin would want to do all the shit he's doing. People don't do this type of shit when they're calmed down. Putin lives by himself. He's probably isolated, alone, paranoid, has no real friends. Trump comes there, swears with him, tells people to grab them by the vaginas with him, says just crazy shit. He's real. What do? FOMO, yeah. So stupid. But anyways, to the parts that I really did enjoy, though, increased tax cuts for kids, and Trump should adopt this because the cost of formula, I had a kid, the cost of formula doubled in the last couple of years, and doubling the tax cut for kids would make sense because the cost of formula doubled in the last fucking couple of years. So I do agree with this. This is like the best thing that was actually talked about, and that's why I thought for a little bit that she would just straight up take the election because so many people have kids. So it's like, this is a W. Like, this is a W statement. And he needs to adopt this. Period. The end. This is actually a massive one for everybody. And it wasn't even that big of a jump, but this is a big one. We want us to have kids. We want us to have a better America. This is an important one. So I'm not even going to hate it. And reframing the tax bracket. She's like, her tax concepts are kind of on point. I liked her tax stuff. And I know it's because she's pandering to the lower class, but actually we really do need it. We really do need it. Me and my wife worked 2 fucking jobs each, and I worked 3 jobs at one point so we could owe the IRS money. That's a problem. I should have got a tax cut for working multiple jobs. Every job you work past one job 40 hours a week should get you a tax break, not make me pay more taxes. That's what? How the fuck does that even make sense? But anyways, so say she wants to save. Is this an ad or music? This is music. I can't help it though. She says she wants a safe border, but has shown the opposite with all policies reflect those Obamas and Biden's, which are basically open undocumented asylum. Now, I don't want to call it undocumented asylum because I actually worked at a hotel recently, and when I worked at a hotel, I had 2 hotels actually. I saw the process of them coming in and had to actually do copies and stuff of their paperwork for them. I didn't have to, but I did because it's, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna be rude. And to be fair, I didn't fully understand the situation at the time. At the time, I thought it was just, I was just helping people, you know what I mean? So it's hard. Like, again, when you're looking somebody in the face, it's a lot harder to be an asshole. So just, bear with me. But I did help them get documentation. I helped them get social security cards and stuff. I helped them file stuff and send stuff. I didn't do all of that for them, but they were bringing their paperwork to me, so I saw what they were. I was just copying it, you know what I mean? But I got to see everything that they were doing, so it doesn't, So I can't say that they were undocumented, but it is open asylum. And that's essentially what we've experienced. And open asylum is very dangerous for the world. It's not just dangerous for America, but historically in all countries, all the way back to the Romans, the Greeks, back to ancient China. Literally, this goes back to like as old times can be, because it's a natural born concept. It actually happens in the household with siblings fighting over rivalries and splitting up the household's, not dogma, but household's entity, holiness. I guess, I don't know what to call it, but it happens in cultures and in countries, though, by basically the more people that are influxed in, it destabilizes the nationalism of the country, because you're having more and more people who aren't nationalistically tied to the country or as nationalistically tied to the country, and then it changes the outcomes of elections and votes and power and an economic stance of the country, which sometimes turns into imbalance and destabilizes the country essentially. And that's kind of what we're seeing. We're seeing that now. We're seeing so essentially, it's historical. Okay, it happens every single time. You have an influx of a lot of people. You have a split of power, a split of decisions being broken up in ways that it shouldn't be done. Today, I would argue it's, the race pandering, the gender pandering, the sex pandering. And by sex pandering, I don't mean necessarily just male and female. I mean sexual identity concepts like LGBTQ. So basically it's the same though. It's the same as Obama's and Biden's. It's just open. And she's saying she wants to do something now, but we still haven't seen anything. And everyone's kind of right. She's currently in office. And even if she is preparing for this, crazy campaign that was thrown on her that shouldn't be there. She shouldn't be a concept. That's the other thing. I didn't even mention that in any of this, but it's just unconstitutional what's happening right now. Genuinely, there were better Democratic leaders in the preliminaries. She dropped out. So she either dropped out because she knew this was going to happen, one, which is even more fucked up, because you just let somebody run our country that shouldn't have run our country. This doesn't look good. Like, it all just looks bad. But anyways, yeah, so the border, not really her thing from what we've seen. And then turn the page, implying more progressiveness is the solution, and we all know it's not. So let's talk about that for a second. Her turning the page right now is to give $25,000 to people who haven't actually really earned or succeeded in life yet. And I'm not trying to be rude because it's the first time home buyer loan, but that's not actually giving you money. That's making you have a lower down payment. So if we maybe decrease the down payment and give people more of an opportunity, that's fine. But to give everyone $25,000, I did some fun math just because that's kind of what I do. And the fun math that I had done was we have $35 trillion total of debt. To give $25,000, if you look up the housing concept, 60% of the country or more or something like that don't own a home. So if you do the math on the 60%, you guys can do it because I already did it. But eventually you come down to the number of adding $5 trillion with a single policy to the total of our debt. And why is that adding $5 trillion to the total of our debt? Because we're not getting anything out of that. One, these people could fail, which could be cataclysmically dangerous for our country. But two, imagine all the bankruptcies, because these people have not succeeded and some of them have actually failed. Some people, this is going to sound horrible, but natural selection. Some people just won't make it. Some people just won't make it. And this is the worst thing I've ever had to say, but it's the truth. It's the truth. You don't reward stupidity. Everybody getting a gold medal is not actually a solution. It's not. People used to be happy just being a logger, just being a paver, a laborer. Everybody wants to be something different nowadays. But yeah, it's a different concept as well. But turn the page, implying more progressiveness. It's just not. But yeah, I would argue we have to actually go back to more conservative times. Worry more about America, worry more about our country, stop helping other countries for 10 years, 10 to 15 years, start being more about us and about what we need and less about what other people need for a little bit. So I don't want to turn the page. I don't want you to keep telling people that you're the first black female president. We need to make history. I don't want that anymore. I want you to say that this is what I'm planning to do. These are the things that I think can help our country. And that's pretty much about it. I want you to stick to that. Because anytime you have to resort to saying what you are to get what you want is the problem. Identity politics just don't belong here. They don't. And then the last thing is another candidate chosen by the elite to falsely represent the people for votes towards the marionette agenda. And that's obviously my more conspiracy crazy concept, but no, it's kind of true. Because if you think about it again, she didn't run through the preliminary process. She averted that process. They definitely knew that Biden wasn't going to be, fit. This is shameful. It's shameful. And she's supporting a lot of the same concepts that this party has kind of always supported. So the next one. So we'll start off with the fact that Trump has a bunch of felony convictions. And I just want to say that even if they are true, because I don't know, right? And a lot of people want to say they know, and that's silly. What I think happened and what other people think happened is different. I think it was consensual. I think it was paid. And then I think now there was an agenda for the one thing. And then the money concept, I think, is legit just bureaucratical. It's something that they found that they knew they could get him on. It's the Al Capone concept. Like, it really is. It really is. And why I want to go into that is that harassment, unwarranted search and seizure. That's basically what that was. And that's why, and if that had happened to any normal person, that's what we would classify that as. These people had searched into your life, harassed you, stalked you, did these things to find out information about you to criminalize you, yeah. That's exactly what that is. That's a violation of his rights. So his rights were blatantly violated, and you guys are okay with it. So even if he is a criminal, that's perfectly fine. You guys, the way the information was obtained was illegal, so therefore he shouldn't be guilty no matter what. And I'm even less inclined to believe in it because it seems like an agenda attack. It's just crazy how many people fell for it. But anyhow, he lacks tact. I will say the one thing I don't like about Trump is, like, I wouldn't want my kid to look at him as a president to admire, to be like. He doesn't speak well, and he does in his own way, but it's not what I would want. And I guess that's because I've always idolized and heroized leaders throughout history, and that's my problem, right? Like, I look at these people who just spoke so well, and not right now, but they just spoke so well. And he doesn't. He does, but he doesn't. He could, I guess. But similar to me, just impulse controls, I guess. But yeah, so the pandering. Oh yeah, this. So Trump never says make history by voting in the 47th white straight male president. And it's because identity does not belong in politics. And that's just the truth. It's separating us. It's creating a divide between people. And it's funny because they keep saying Trump's the racist and Trump's the one doing this. But he, again, is never saying vote for the white man. Like, that's not a thing. Like, there's no version of supremacy here. There's no version of necessity or feeling of, exclusion. Like, you're making it seem the first black woman president. Like, you're a black woman Indian president. Like, you're really trying hard. You know what I mean? Do you think that concept, do you think that there's not people who are black female Indians who are failures, who suck at life, who have done nothing, as well as successes? So we're to assume that you're just one of the successful ones of that population. That's what I'm also saying. So never mind, are you not only pandering to identity, which is insane, or sex, or any of these concepts, right? These dumb concepts, right? And not to your actual accolades. But then in addition to it, you're making it seem as though it's an elite race, that as long as you come from these people, that you're automatically going to make better decisions. I didn't know that's how that worked. It's opposite racism. It really is. It's like, it's hard to, like, but cool. We'll vote for that person. So the pandering is shameful, period. Does Trump pander to? Yes, by going and talking to the people on the ground in hospitals, on farms, in mines, and overseas. Most of all, the disasters recently. This is empathy, not assimilation. And this is a big one for me, because he does pander, and you have to pander. That's the point. You're leading people, so the people need to want you to lead them, which means that you need to cater to the people that you lead. It's not a complicated equation. Therefore, he goes to the mines. He goes to the mines in these different states. He goes to the farms in these different states. He got the farmers better deals with food, I guess, in China. There's a lot to what he was actually doing behind the scenes that I never even knew about, to be completely honest. But he was doing some really good things for the world. Not just us. Other countries were doing better under him, too. The entire world global economy was doing better under Trump. There's a reason for that, because he knows what he's doing when it comes to making good deals and having everybody be a win. Everybody was winning. That's why Putin didn't want to invade. That's why these people didn't want to do these things, because everybody was winning. Everyone's winning. Don't you want everyone to win? And they were winning because they were doing it for themselves. They weren't even winning because it was being given to them or handed to them. That's the best part. Handing them, and that's the other thing too. His policies are all based around investing into our country so it can make more money over the coming years. So yes, it's still debt-based. He's going to add trillions of dollars to the debt as well. The difference is the trillions of dollars of debt he's going to add is going to be infrastructure in our country to produce wealth back into our country. Hopefully into AI if we're lucky. That's the difference. If she wins, she wants to give $25,000 for free. That is debt as well. And not just $25,000, the tax credits, all of her policies, the healthcare policies, all of her policies are based around giving something for nothing, increasing the population count by illegal immigration, basically. Asylum. Illegal immigration. Right? Which is going to increase that debt tenfold, right? Because that's the other thing I did too. I looked at the amount of population that they were adding, and the amount of population that they're adding, I forget what it was, but it was like 5 to 10% or something. Like, it was a large chunk. If it was 5 million, I forget what it was, like 2%, but if it was 20 million, like they were saying, that's insanity. It's insanity. 20 million on top of 350 million is insane. It's insane. Yeah. And a lot of them were on benefits. The hotels that I was in, all of them were on benefits. Every single one of them. And there was 30, 40 of them sometimes. Like, it wasn't one or two. But yeah, I mean, they were nice people too. Like, I didn't have a problem with it. They did have a disrespect for the property, but like, I'm not gonna get into that. But either way, it just, he went to the disasters, they didn't even show up. He went to the funeral, they didn't even show up. So he's empathetic. He's going to these places, he's talking to these people, he's being there with these people on the ground. And then more than anything, assimilation. She's assimilating. She's faking her accents when she goes to different places. She's using different, what we would call statistical, actually, if I'm being honest, data-based decisions. And how do I know that? Because she's looking at what's popular in pop culture, i.e. Cardi B and these things, and she's targeting these things. So they're targeting things that they know can get to the easily get into the minds of people who are less, not educated, but less, what's that word? Susceptible or more susceptible, if that makes sense. To just trust who they trust. You know what I mean? Because that's how it is. I call it the epicenter of stupidity. If you trust me and I say something stupid, you're going to think something stupid until you're somehow disproven by somebody else you trust more, or something else you trust more yourself. It's just how it works. But yeah, so last thing, Trump is 100% American, here for America, and wants America to win in the world for his kids and for us and for his business. He has a future, he has a stake in this country, and I think that's the biggest reason I want to vote for him. Kamala doesn't have a stake, I don't think. Or does she? Whoa, I didn't know that. She has 2 stepkids. So arguably, she doesn't have a stake in the country succeeding or doing well. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm so sorry. But like that's kind of how it looks. I'm not even kidding. I don't know what her relationships look like. But her relationship with the world is pretty fake. So it's hard to see if her relationship with her kids would be real. But either way, so she's got less of a stake than he does. And that's the thing. He cares about our country. He wants our country to do well because he needs his country to do well so his kids can do well, so his kids' kids can do well, so his kids' kids can do well. And so the name of Donald J. Trump or Trump can live on for a while. It's a cool name. He's a very conservative man. His name means a lot. The Dem Party has said some terrifying things. This is important for me. So the Democratic Party has said some really scary things recently about free speech being an obstacle or the biggest obstacle, about promising to use executive orders like to attack, things like Twitter, like different companies, social media companies, to get them to do what they want them to do. And then more importantly, Kamala has said in the past when it came to despite calling Trump a tyrant in the past, that she liked being a DA. There was an interview where she says that she likes being a DA because with the swipe of a pen, she can extend someone's sentence, end someone's sentence, drop the case, do whatever she wants basically. With the swipe of a pen, she can throw someone's life away. She can do whatever she wants basically, and that is genuinely power addiction. You guys are witnessing genuinely an absolute chameleon, a psychopath, get into the Oval Office potentially, because she's true insanity. She's actually crazy. She's real insane. So is Hillary, apparently. That's the funny thing. Like, when you look back at some of these other people, now you're starting to see it more. And Biden was just the old man that was going to guarantee her election. He set her up for 8 years of fucking disaster. Watch, because she can run for 8. This is bad. But anyways, yeah, so those things are scary. Trump's never said anything like that. He wants safe and secure elections. He said something along the lines that we'll never have bad elections again after this. And that's because he's going to make the election safe and secure, not because he's going to steal elections or become a tyrant. Y'all are insane. He's too old to be a tyrant. Like, y'all are crazy. Finally, if our elections, and also it wouldn't happen, we're all armed. How many military personnel do you think we have? It doesn't work like that. We're very conscious people in today's world. Finally, if our elections' legitimacy is in question, and this is kind of a big one for me. I'll wait just a second. But yeah, finally, if our elections' legitimacy has been in question for now 3 or more elections, it's time to change the system. It's just obvious, right? Like, if we keep having this recurrent problem where we're questioning either the Electoral College, or we're questioning the votes of the people, or we're questioning the votes' legitimacies, or we're questioning if they're illegal or legal votes, then therefore we should have a better system in place. And that's just that, period. Period, the end. This is too important of a system to have this big of a flaw with, and I, as the American people, speak for the American people and believe that all the American people, both Democratic and Republican, will support me. Because yes, that is the fucking truth. If there is an issue, there needs to be a change, and it needs to be a change before the next election, because therefore the next election could still suscept to the corruption. If the other ones are in question, then why shouldn't this one be in question too? So, the other thing is Trump wants the election security now. The Dems want it after, and that's sus. And the sus states from before were the ones that wanted to help delay or made it legal to vote illegally. So there's states that, I don't know if they legalized it, but they basically allowed illegal votes of people who aren't necessarily citizens or not, or no, made voter fraud illegal, or not, voter fraud not punishable. I don't know how to word this, but basically made voter fraud not punishable, which basically supports illegal fraud if they get caught, which implies that they're going to want to use fraud. They're going to fuck the votes up. So this is all kind of fucked up. I'm not gonna lie. And I guess really the question is, why do they want to wait to have safer elections? And again, Trump is willing to do it now because he knows the people choose him. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I could say a lot of the bullshit, all the other crap, about how she kind of failed as a DA and all that stuff, but I'm not going to do that. Like I said, no shame. I want to try to avoid some of the shame. The pandering concepts, changing accents, isn't shaming. That's genuinely wrong, and it's an assimilation identifier. So I want to point it out because it's truly crazy. It's insane. And then everything here was pretty much, other than my bias, pretty spot on. So yeah, you guys pick. Do you want the person who's going to basically put our country more into debt without money coming back in? Or do you want the person who has the business model already designed and wants to put the money back into our country so that it can make money? He's also going to give debt. We're going to go further into debt with him as well. But the difference is this debt will make money. It'll bring in money. It'll help our country do better over the coming years, not worse. She's probably just going to give away a lot of our money, give away a lot of our funds, cause more wars, cause more problems. There's no good solution here, guys. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys like, comment, subscribe. I think it kind of lays it out pretty simply why you should vote for Trump and why you shouldn't vote for Kamala. Or why, if you already voted, why you should have voted for Donald Trump and not for Kamala Harris. Because, well, it's just simple. I gotta say it like it is. It's easy logic for me. Because when you compare them on paper, when you look at them spot for spot, it's a lot harder to vote for somebody who's clearly the tyrant. It's a lot harder to vote for somebody who's clearly trying to take over the country and change our entire dogma. It's very obvious to me that Trump is the only decision here. I don't think there's any other decision that could possibly be made. But yeah, genuinely. He just... Come on, man. Like, he can only run for 4 more years, too. I hope he finishes the wall. I hope he gets some of these factories built that he's been talking about. I hope he gets the border policies locked in somehow. Permanently. Like, permanently. No chances to be changed. That is one thing I hope, that somehow he finds a way to make it, like, permanently illegal for illegal immigration. And punishable. Immediate deportation if possible. And I know it's so wrong, because I actually have friends in the past that didn't have citizenship. But no, like, if you've been here for long enough, obviously do tests, see if these people can add to society like my friends could in the past, right? Because they were working, they can add to the tax bracket, they can add to it, right? So if they're going to add to it and they're willing to add to it, but any of the degeneracy, just like in our own country, I wish we could take the degeneracy. What do we do with the degeneracy in our country? We put them in prisons. So why would we allow the degeneracy in our country to run free from other people's countries? That doesn't make any sense, right? So we don't even want the degeneracy in our country. We put them in prisons. So why are we allowing the degeneracy to come in? I'm okay with the non-degenerate, but the only way to filter that properly is to have an appropriate border and an appropriate deportation process. We have to reset and restart. And I'm sorry, that's just kind of how it works. And that means that a lot of people would have to go home. But again, don't punish first. Put a system in place first where you analyze, interpret, and look at all these people and then decide who goes and who stays. But yeah, I think that kind of covers it. I don't know what else to say. I hope, I just hope everyone voted for Trump. This shouldn't even be a close election. It genuinely shouldn't. This is the first time wherever I'm going to call people evil. And she's fucking... Oh, that didn't work. She's evil. He's selfish. There's a difference. But he's really not selfish, like, actually, because if we look at it, first president to come out with less safety, reputation, and money. Is he selfish? I don't think so. I actually think he's the least selfish. And yeah, I really do think that, like, anybody who's giving him shit because he's a criminal, it was illegally obtained information. It was an unwarranted search and seizure. It's harassment. It's harassment. What reasons did they have to look into the president's background? Why would that come to light? Why would something like that just come to light? It wouldn't. It wouldn't. It doesn't for other presidents. So, if that's not a weaponization of the criminal system, I don't know what is. But yeah, it does suck. You can't have bias in the criminal system. You can't be a judge or a prosecutor and look at me and think any different of me than anybody in the last case or the case before that. Because if you do, if you have any personal attachment to it, it's going to affect your decision making with me. And that's why when she said with the swipe of a pen, she can control someone's life, that was all I needed to know, that she is not somebody you want in power. That's crazy. Y'all are insane. This is the lady that launches the nukes. I'm not even kidding. You guys think I'm kidding. I'm not. She launches. Oof. The nukes. I should have just wrote nukes. Nukes would probably be the easiest. Yeah, nukes is the easiest. She does. Kamala. Yeah, that's it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. If you like the political stuff, like, comment, subscribe. I also make gaming videos. I make a bunch of other videos, so you try not to get lost in the mix. I'll try to separate them well, and, we'll see how the YouTube algorithm does. Catch you later.